Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just going. If it was on the outside of the wire, I think it wouldn't be the. I'm just gonna change mine.
3, 2, 1, go.
Good way to start.
What's
Mike.
up, everybody? I'm Mike.
Nick.
We are the brothers Murph, and it's time for a top tune. So
Yep.
10.
That is 10. You did. Eventually, he did say 10.
It took a while.
Hey, Mike. You know what that was?
Awkward.
That was called low budget comedy. No, I'm trying to find a weird segue.
Oh, I see. That was
Right?
good
I was
bang
like-
for your buck comedy. Because
Was it though?
No, but it cost them nothing.
Here it is, because this is free. So,
This is free.
So as well as good bang for your buck. Bang for your buck games is what we're doing today. We're trying to talk about games that
With
have
really good value,
yes.
whatever that means.
For the game that you're getting has very good value. It's the best, like, oh, that's good bang for your buck, which is it's probably just an American term. Is that a term other places? Let us know in the comments below if you're somewhere outside
It's
of
a
the
good
US.
peel for the pound, they say.
Uh,
That's light on the loonies,
I was trying to think of
they
something
say.
from another English-speaking country like Australia. I can't. I'm not clever. But nonetheless, so good bang for your buck. So good value games. Games that not
think-
necessarily are cheap.
Yeah, so that's why bang for your buck's a little tricky. But this is they're games that we think have really good value, whether or not they're cheap or maybe on the more expensive side. Whatever the price is, we think like you get a lot for what you're paying.
Yes. And so this isn't just a list of the 10
our
cheapest games, because that
Yeah.
paying $5 for trash is not as valuable as paying $20 for something great.
Keep you warm in the winter, though.
It will keep you warm.
$5 for trash ain't
Dude,
bad.
trash radiates heat as it decomposes.
That's
you
so
know?
good.
There's nothing
So
wrong
good.
with that. So it's gonna be top 10 bang for your buck games. We're gonna go into a couple honorable mentions before we start, because this is a tough list
A
because
lot to consider, yeah.
every top 10 list is subjective, but this one's very subjective because a dollar means something for different people. If you make $100,000 a year or $30,000 a year, whether or not something is a good value
gonna
is
be-
fundamentally
you're
different.
going
for those
different
two
metrics,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, and so we're mostly going off what we think is valuable for us. And again, we're kind of low, middle of the road. So it's like
We're
it's
on
one
the
of those
30 side of life.
yeah, we're on the 30 side of life. So nonetheless, but we'll go into a couple honorable mentions. Number one, we're not going to do any tabletop role-playing games.
No, but they are great values because you can buy a book and then you have this thing right here called
Yeah.
Imagination, and you can literally play.
I know someone who's been in a
Stuff
campaign
forever.
for over a decade. One campaign. They're now playing like the great-grandchildren
Yeah.
of their original characters. So yeah, the books are expensive, but the sheer amount of play you can get out of
so
them.
stuff like the
is
D&D handbook and all that are like incredible values, or any sort of RPG
Yeah.
books and stuff. But we're going to be talking more about specific
Like
games.
board games, yeah.
Board games
Board
and
and card
stuff.
games.
A lot of like party games are really good
Yes.
value because you can play a ton of people. They're fun, they're light, they're easy. So
They
keep
tend to be
that in
relatively
mind.
cheap. A lot of social deduction games. We don't have any social deduction games, but really most of those, like even Werewolf, it's like you have a couple roles and people play it for decades. It's
Yeah.
honestly a very good value. It's just not the kind of games we tend to play. Speaking of games we don't tend to play, two areas of games that we just don't have much knowledge in, and so we didn't put any on our list, but we would love for you to put it down in the comments below. Like maybe like a war game, and specifically a big miniatures game.
Yeah,
what do you
that's
think
like
is
on
a
the
very
like a good value side?
yeah, a
of
good
things.
value miniatures game, a
Yeah.
good value big war game, because that's just something we just don't know about, and so
I'd
we're
love
not
to
going
learn.
to try and fabricate a list on that, because we're just like, we don't know war games. But if you know one, put it down in the comments below, because we'd love to learn about it. We just don't want to talk because we don't play war games, so it's
Yeah.
like we don't know a good value one.
Should we mention the ultimate value?
Probably.
This is number one unofficially, but it is. You know what's the best value? Deck of cards.
A deck of
Just
cards.
buy a deck of cards.
It's
you can
literally-
play hundreds of games. You can get deck cards from any gas station you visit.
You can do, people will give you deck
Give
cards
you
for
decks
free.
of cards.
Yes.
But
So-
we're going to talk about like named board games, little standalone board
Yes.
games. And with that, let's start with number 10 of our bang for your buck kind of best value games.
So, number 10 is going to be a game that was featured in our top 10 games with amazing table presence, and that is photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis is not, it's like, you're like $40, 35,
Yeah, you can
40
find it at
bucks.
Target for like $40 a lot of places.
So it's not crazy expensive, but it's also not the cheapest game ever. But what you're getting with this game is you're getting simple rules, you're getting a lot of strategy, a lot of tactical tree combat, I guess.
yeah.
Tree,
That's a war game right
yeah,
there.
you're trying to, yeah, that's a war game. But then on top of that, it's for sheer table presence. This game was number 2 on our top 10 table presence games, which will pop up over there or over there. I can never remember.
over here, I
It's
think.
one of these two. But nonetheless, it's on there because this game has amazing table presence. So for a game that has easy and simple rules, a lot of strategy, a decent amount of depth, and table presence out the wazoo. It's got great value. I mean, we've kept it. We love this game.
I think it's so cool. It's just super cool looking, like you said. It's you can get a game that literally rises off the table in front of you.
It'll stop people in their tracks. And then on top of that, again, it's easy to get into. It's got a lot of depth, and it's really not that expensive, especially considering the table presence you get. A lot of games that are we love very overproduced games.
Oh, yeah.
We do. Like, one of our favorite games is Histrio. Crazy overproduced, but it is ultimately a bad value game because it is a very light game.
Yeah.
We're fine with that bad value.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we understand that we can't argue that, no, this is a really great value. It's not.
No.
But we love how overproduced it is.
Yeah.
But Photosynthesis is super well produced.
Because it's a super tactical, strategic game.
Yeah, and on top there's a great game underneath it, and it's cheaper than a lot of these other overproduced games. And so Photosynthesis is our number 10. We love it. Great game, great value.
Check it out. In the meantime, we'll get to number 9. Speaking of overproduced games, this might be the most overproduced game for the cheapest price.
The most ridiculous
The
one.
most differential of stuff in box versus price, and it can only ever have happened this one way.
And that's why it's this high, low on our list.
Because this game is not super cheap, but it's crazy. It's cheaper than it should be. It's Mechs vs. Minions.
Yes.
Now this game we've seen around $70 and stuff.
This is an anomaly.
It's an anomaly, and the reason, so $70 is not exactly a tiny amount of money, but in this box, this humongous, too big for your shelf box.
Yeah, it's like this big.
You have so many
over 100
miniatures,
minis,
all in custom inserts, all with big chunky bits that go with everything else, with player
They all
boards.
have washes on them.
They all have washes on them. Your robots are these giant pre-painted minis.
And well painted.
Well painted. It's kind of like a legacy campaign type game, and it's $70.
Yes.
And the reason we say it's an anomaly is because everything that's in that box doesn't make sense for its price point. It's way too much stuff. But because Riot Games, who make League of Legends, have money like that, they're like, I don't care if this turns a profit. Let's just make something really cool. And so that game sold for much cheaper than probably it would with any other publisher.
$70. And literally, I think Stephen Bonacore, formerly of Stronghold Games, because he's since retired, I believe he was talking about it came out. He's like, if we sold this at Stronghold Games, we would have to charge over $200 for it.
Yeah.
To make a profit on it because of the sheer amount of plastic and stuff. But Riot Games are like, if we make a penny on each of these, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, because it's just kind of a fun project for them.
And so this one's kind of low on our list because of the fact that this is an anomaly. But nonetheless, if you're talking about just straight bang for your buck, taking out all the other stuff, man, it's hard to beat Mechs vs. Minions.
Yeah.
It's a really fun, cool programming game.
Yep.
It's a
Co-op
campaign
game,
game, so
yep.
you have tons of different scenarios to play, and then the production value is legitimately dumb. It's so ridiculous, and it was for that kind of game super cheap.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of straight value, taking away the fact that it's an anomaly, Mechs vs. Minions, great value.
It works, you know.
I mean, it is.
It's just fun. It's cool. It's poppy. It's big, and it's splashy.
That's
and
really
stuff.
fun. I like it a lot.
And you can get that kind of game for under $100, which is hard to do. So for that kind of game, I feel like that's the best value one.
That's the thing.
That's why it's on our list. That's
Yeah.
number 9, Mechs vs. Minions. You just get so much crap in that box.
So much crap.
So much stuff. So check that game out if you're interested. In the meantime, we'll go to number 8.
Alrighty, number 8 is a very small game, and we wanted to put a really small game, because this game is only $15, and it is Palm Island. Now there are
It
fits in these mitts right here. Now there are a lot of small games that have a lot of depth that we talk about a lot, like Arboretum or Hanamakoji.
Oh, yeah.
Any of those games I think could fit on this list
A lot of the
easily.
button shy games.
Yeah, a lot of the button shy games for that exact reason. Very small, very cheap, but have a lot going on, which is great. Now we chose Palm Island for a couple different reasons. One, because it's a really fun game.
Yeah.
2, it's really cheap. It's $15. It's great. But 3 is because of the versatility in the game. This is a game that you play in your hands. It's not, you don't play on a
hold
table.
your deck of cards in your hand.
And you have to play it that way.
Yeah.
You can't play, well, I guess you technically could play
can,
it, but
but
it would be awkward.
It's designed with it being in your hand and mind.
Yes. So that's really, really cool and unique. We would bring this game to Disneyland or something like that. So while we're sitting in line for Indiana Jones, we're like, all right, we'll just play a couple rounds of Palm Island. But on top of that, it's a fun little game. Again, it's not like the crazy deepest game ever, but it's got a lot.
Gives you decisions to make.
It goes decisions, but on top of that, you can play solo. There's a solo mode. There's a co-op mode. There's a competitive mode, and so you can play all these different ways, and you can play in your hand, and it's $15. Not to mention, if you pay a little bit more, you get the waterproof one.
You get the waterproof.
You can play in a hot tub.
You can play in the water.
You can play in the ocean.
Play on a Palm Island.
Play inside of some weird, like sentient goo.
Yeah.
Because like
All
it won't
those
matter.
things. It won't matter because those cards are indestructible.
Yeah.
They're so nice. Yeah. So this one was just like, man, you know, it's pretty dang versatile.
Palm Island needs some love. It's a good game.
It is, and you can play it anywhere, anyhow, for $15. Fits in your pocket.
Next time you have to go to the doctor's office, you have to wait or something like that for like an hour or something. It's like go to the DMV, bring Palm Island. You can sit there and just play in your seat. It's just like, it's great.
It's super simple, man. So that's why it's our number 8. It's just fun. Goes down smooth. I'm glad we picked that one up.
Yeah.
They sold us on the little waterproof case, and I was
They
just
literally just had it sitting in a bowl of water, and we were like, that sounds pretty cool.
That's interesting. And we played it in the water and tested it. It does work.
It does. We so played it, now it's out. Indeed.
That's why it's our number 8. Let's go ahead and get into number 7. So number 7, a little tricky. This is a game that, I'll say it, I'll throw you under the bus. Nick's crapped on a lot.
I don't like this game.
Nick doesn't like this game, but you cannot argue that it is not a good value. It's Dominion.
Yeah.
Dominion and its many expansions
Yes.
are a good value. And the reason it's a good value is because it's a deck builder game where in just the base box, you're not going to be playing with all of the types of cards at once.
Yes.
You can, even in that base box, craft different kinds of experiences because you're only going to be using, I don't remember how many types of cards, say it's 9 types of cards in a game. So you can create some variety there. And then it's just a straight up deck building game where you're trying to get the stuff, to buy the stuff, to get the stuff, right? And then you get the better hand to buy the better stuff and things like that. And it's just a deck builder where you sort of build up your little deck of cards and hope to get the best things. And, you know, like you can play a lot of Dominion out of just that base box. Yeah. And then you can add on like one expansion and then that's even more variety. And then you can add on this expansion that's even more variety. If and as you want to, you can add those pieces in. But we were thinking, like, do we go with like a legendary here, which is also awesome, especially
There's a
like
lot of
superheroes.
these kind of straight deck builders that you can kind of throw in here.
Yeah, but we're like, you know what, Dominion, you have to, whether or not it's our favorite game, you have to acknowledge that it's a classic. It's a straight up
and
classic.
straight out of the base box, you can play Dominion for a while.
Good long while.
We love Legendary, Marvel Legendary, which is a deck builder, but it's one of those things where I'm like, you need to get an expansion. Like, just based off the stuff that's in the base box, you will, I think, get bored, not crazy quickly, but more quickly than you would in Dominion.
Are easy in the base.
Yeah, and so it's like you really need an expansion. Whereas Dominion, I think, honestly, just talking about base game, because we're taking out expansions out of the equation for the most part.
Yeah.
Also, like deluxe versions get taken out because, again, like you can buy a deluxe version of a game, and all of a sudden the price goes up by $30, and it's like, oh, that's not worth it anymore. It's like, yeah, we're just talking about just the vanilla base game.
The normal, yeah.
I think Dominion is honestly a better value, even if it's a game that I'd rather spend more money on a game that I have more interest in.
Sure.
But in terms of straight value, Dominion's great.
Hard to argue
And then you add
against.
one expansion, you got crazy combinations.
Yeah.
Like dumb combinations. Yeah.
It's quite a bit. So, you know, it's kind of like the deck builder to beat all deck builders, you know.
First one.
It started it all.
Still one of the tops, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I had to make the list, you know. It's a good value. It's just straight up is whether or not it's our favorite game.
That's
I
irrelevant,
can acknowledge that it's a great game for people to get for its price point because there's a lot of game in there.
Yeah,
that you
a
can
lot
play.
of game in there.
So that's our number 7. Let's get on to number 6.
Let's do it.
Nick, I got a question.
Yeah?
Can a $100 plus game be a good value?
Yes. Get ready to get mad, comments, because number 6 is Gloomhaven.
I don't think people are going to disagree
I don't think
with
so.
that.
I don't think so either. I think some people would, but like, Gloomhaven's a good value. I don't care. I know it's $150.
It is not cheap. We are not arguing that it's a cheap game.
No.
But
That's not this list.
you could play Gloomhaven for years.
People do.
People do. There's a
would.
lot to explore. It's a humongous dungeon crawling campaign cooperative game. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not cheap. It's
No.
definitely not cheap. There are many cheaper. It's our most expensive game on this list.
Yeah, by far. Yeah.
But like, how many hours of play are in that box?
And
do you
that's the thing.
imagine?
Is like,
I have no idea.
If you're playing Gloomhaven, like say you leave it set up and you and your spouse or your brother, sister, kids, whatever, whoever, you're playing it every single evening. Like after you get off work, after homework is done, whatever. It's going to take you months and months.
Yeah, I mean,
to
and
play
people
this
did
game.
that, and it took over a year.
Yeah.
And they
just
played
leaving it
like
set up.
almost all of it. But I'm like, that's so for $150. If you and one other person, or even if you're soloing it, so you are responsible for the sole cost, and you get 200 even, just say 200 hours of entertainment out
Which
of it,
I think is
which you would,
low,
it's less
yeah.
than $1 an hour.
Yeah.
Hard to find anything else on
Yeah.
earth you could pay less than $1 an hour for and be as entertained.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, some things are long, and just because something is long, you get a lot of hours out of it, doesn't necessarily mean it's worth it, and that's totally
No,
fair.
but
But
this
Gloomhaven,
also-
and again, this is, all of these are negated if you also just don't like this game. I mean,
course,
to be fair,
any list is
Dominion
that
we put
way.
on there, but it's like, if you hate Gloomhaven, you're not going to think it's worth it at all, and
Yeah.
that's fair. But we love Gloomhaven, so if you're talking about like the amount of time you get out of the game and the quality of the experience, which in my opinion, I think your opinion as well, is very, very high. It's
yeah.
number one on Board Game Geek for a reason.
Yes, it is. It is objectively, or very much subjectively,
yeah.
the best game of all time.
Yes, exactly. And so
According
it's one
to
of
the
those things,
people, right?
If you're talking about it like that, it's like, yeah, it's a great value. I understand it's a very high value, but if you're talking about bang for your buck, the sheer amount of hours, the sheer amount of quality gameplay you get, it's like, man, it's worth
Discovery,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just hard to beat.
Yeah.
Just
So
saying.
number 6 is Gloomhaven.
Number 6, Gloomhaven.
I'm
Let us know if you agree or disagree. I'm very curious
Yeah.
because to me, I'm like, it's a humongous box of stuff to
Yes.
explore, and I'm like, yeah, it's like the price makes sense to me.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
I don't know.
All right.
That's just us, though. Let us know what you think of Gloomhaven in the comments below. In the meantime, we'll get into number 5. So number 5, it's the
we
best.
had to put a rolling ride
It's
on
the
it.
best rolling ride of all time.
It is.
It's
Is it officially
cartographers
for you at this point?
Yeah,
You
it's
think
just-
so?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like what.
Because I feel like it's been my favorite for a while, but I feel like you were kind of
There
flip
are
flopping
a
between
couple others that I really, really like, but I don't know if I can argue that Cartographers is less good objectively. Cartographers, you can play unlimited people. I love Fleet the Dice game. It's sort of where I waffle back and
yeah,
forth.
that's your kind of thing.
You can only play 4 players.
Yeah.
It's important because you're dice drafting. You can play Cartographers with 1,000.
We play all the time on stream with infinite amount of people.
Yeah, you know, and I'm like, well, that right there is probably all the difference you need. But Cartographers is a flip and fill kind of rolling, right? You're flipping over cards, and you are making a map.
Yes.
We've talked about this a lot. It's fantastic because you're making this map that has different land types like villages, farms, water, forest. There's monsters that might pop up and things like that. And it's just so cool because you're always going to have 4 scoring conditions that will score the first 2, then 2 and 3, then 3 and 4, then 4 and 1. And each of the types of scoring cards will kind of pertain to one of the land types or a shape specific part of the game. And each of those types of cards has 4 different options.
Yeah.
So you have 4 different options. You have 16 scoring cards that can be in infinite different combinations because you're only going to use one of the forest type scoring cards, one of the farm type
Yeah.
scoring cards and stuff. And so you have all these combinations of stuff. And it's just a great game where everyone flips over the same card, everyone has to make use of that same card, and how you make your map is going to be completely different than how I make
you can
mine.
play the same scoring ones. Even with the Cartographers app, you can have that where it's the same scoring
Yeah,
ones.
but different. The cards come out in different order. The
And that-
exploration cards.
If the cards come out in different order, your game is 100% different.
Yeah.
Like, it just is, and it's just like, and that's a lot of games where it's like the order of stuff that comes out makes the game very, very varied, which is a great thing about board games. Is like, even with simple stuff, you can get a lot of variation just based off how cards or tiles or whatever come out. But this one is like, this matched with the fact that there are so many different kinds of scoring conditions, and that's not included that now, like with some of the expansions, some of the little promos, there's even more. But it's like, there's so many different combinations of scoring stuff with the fact that the cards come out all different stuff, and the fact that you can play with an infinite amount of people, and it's on top of that pretty darn simple.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to
drawing
teach.
shapes and stuff
It goes
that are-
over very well with people for
Yeah.
the most part. Like, it's so good. And then on top of that, it's just polynomial shapes, so it's like Tetris-y. It's so good. And for, I mean, I'm not sure how much it is off the top of my head, but it's like, for how much gameplay you get out of it, for the price point, is just ridiculous. And on top of that, it's like, and then if you run out of sheets, just laminate a couple or something like that, and you're good. Or you can just print out, it's like, you just play forever. And it's just great.
Yeah, Cartographers, like, I never get tired of. I've played a bunch of it physically. I have the app. I played a bunch of that, and it's always fun to put together that puzzle.
I like it every single time. I like it just as much as the time before. And we've played Cartographers a lot at this point.
But it's just great. You know, it's a
love it
winner.
so
It's a
much.
straight up winner.
Yeah.
Because that puzzle will always be intriguing because it's
Yes.
always fun to be like, well, where should I put the forest this time based off of what cards have come before, based off what the scoring is. it's awesome. It's fun. I like puzzles.
Yeah.
That's why it's our number 5, Cartographers. Great game. Best roll and write of all time, or flip and fill, or whatever. So that's it. That's it for number 5. Let's get to number 4.
Let's do it. All right, so number 4 is a mix of depth, popularity, cheapness, all this kind of stuff. And number 4 is Castles of Burgundy.
Bonafide classique.
Because here's the thing about Castle Burgundy. We've always been surprised at how cheap Castle Burgundy is. Now, to be fair, there's not much in it. It's a couple dice, but the dice are small. It's very thin tiles. It's like play mats, but not like big cardboard ones. It's a cheap game to produce. So oftentimes this game is like $30 or less places.
I've seen a lot of places for pretty dang affordable.
And you think about the depth of this game, where there's whole forums about strategies for each individual map.
Yeah, because there's
Just
a backside.
all these strategy discussion about this individual specific map. It's like there's so much depth in Castles of Burgundy, so much replayability. We don't even play the other maps that much. We a lot of times we'll just play the normal ones, and it's so cheap. And again, like the components aren't anything to write home about, but they don't need to be, because it's just a good solid Euro game. Yeah. It's also very fast to play, very easy to teach. You know, but like in terms of like again like the depth to cost point, it's like, man, is Castle of Burgundy a great value?
It's fantastic. It's just a solid game. I mean, it's just cool that you can get one of the greatest games of all time for like $30. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah. Especially if you're getting into the hobby and you want to kind of like take on a classic, you know, that has just elegant design elements, the way that you can manipulate the dice, the way the dice work. It's fairly like intuitive and understandable about like how things work. It's as well loved as it is for a reason. There's so many people have obsessed over it for so long for a reason, and it's just cool that game doesn't cost you $100.
No,
you know, at least the old version, not the new version and stuff, but like
more.
And maybe the old version's even cheaper now. Yeah, Castle Burgundy. It's just like it's a great value. You know, you can get one of the best for not much. Hard to argue against. That's why it's number 4.
It's good. It really is.
Just straight up
and
great.
And for the price, it deserves to be number 4. And that's why it's on number 4. So let's go to number 3.
Boom. So number 3 is a legacy game.
I maintain
you can only play it
almost
once.
all legacy games you could argue for this, in my opinion.
I think so, because legacy games create such epic gameplay stories for you and your game group and stuff. So our number 3 is My City.
Yeah. And the reason why I chose My City, it's like, is
like
My
a
City
bite-sized legacy game?
Yeah, it's like, is it as big or as or as deep or as like all-encompassing as like Pandemic Legacy or anything? It's like, no. But here's the thing. My City was like $30.
Yeah, we got it for $35 from Barnes & Noble, and it is incredibly fun. It's a polyomino tile-laying game by Reiner Knizia, and you are going to be playing 24 chapters or 24 games. Each game's about 30 minutes.
Yes.
You're going to be playing 24 episodes that are broken up into 8 chapters. So every 3 episodes, you'll open up a new envelope that gives you new stuff, new rules, new story, new components, whatever it might be. And then that kind of changes the next 3 games. You're like, ooh, now I have this new thing to think about. Then you go into the next 3 games. Ooh, now I have this thing to think about.
And some of these rules are now
they maybe go away or whatever, and it just kind of continues on. And it was so cool to play a game that me and my fiance Karen got to play every Monday night. We play through a chapter, play 3 quick games, and we were able to play through it quickly. Because it's like each game's 30 minutes. Like we could play a 30-minute game, and it's designed to play kind of a chapter at a time. You'll probably play 3 games back to back because it's kind of quick. Yeah. And it's awesome. So you're always getting to new discoveries.
It's easy to get to the table, which is not. It's you can't say that for other big legacy games or even games like Gloomhaven. Yeah. They're hard to get to the table.
There's just so much stuff and everything. Yeah. So like My City was just fantastic for this, and because it is a smaller game, it was crazy affordable. So I'm like 3 of us had the most epic fun time, and we each had to pay effectively $10. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, we loved it so much, we're like, let's go buy it and do it again. Now we know everything that's coming. I don't care, because for $35, I could do that whole thing again. Like, yes, I'll go on that ride again, please.
For that many hours, split between 3 people, it's like, man. Yeah, and it's again, any legacy game, I guess unless the game is bad or you just don't like it, in my opinion, is pretty worth it. But it's like, man, My City, because of the price point and because of the ease of play,
Yeah.
it's like again, even because the whole chapter is 3 little.
It didn't
whole episode is
feel
3
like
little,
a massive commitment.
No, but it's okay. It's like, oh, we want to bang out a quick game. Okay, we need 30 minutes. It's like it's so easy to get to the table. It's accessible. It's cheap. And it was really fun. Like we were all, I think, blown away at how much fun My City was.
It's such a good game.
So most legacy games, but we picked My City because it's the cheapest and it's the easiest to get to the table. And so My City's great. If you haven't tried it, pick it up for cheap. It's good.
It's really affordable. Go check it out. We think you'll like it. So let's get to number 2.
Number 2 confuses me, Mike.
Why?
Because I don't understand how it's this cheap.
I don't either. It's weird.
How is Teotihuacan as cheap as it is?
We've routinely seen this for like less than $40.
Yeah.
I've seen this for $30.
For like 30, 35,
and
40 bucks.
We've asked Rainer, like, what? And he's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it's-
able to sell it for that cheap. I'm like, okay. So, like, it's legit, you know? Teotihuacan is a fantastic game. We love it a lot.
Yes.
I know it's not for everybody, but I think it's just absolutely incredible. It's this big game where you are moving these dice around that are your workers and you're trying to build up a great pyramid and do all these different things. But this is one that's just kind of crazy for its price given the amount of cardboard in the box.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
given kind of like
The components, you're like, it just should be more.
there's like a big wooden pyramid. There's dice. It's a very big board, big wooden because you can change out the different
so there's
action spaces.
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in the box. Now, just take away the game whether or not you like it or not. The stuff that comes in the box, I still don't understand how they sell it for this cheap when other games that have way less sell for way more. Now, again, a lot of that is the publishers just choose the price, but it's one of those things. But it's like this game. Then you bring back in the fact that it is, in our opinion, a very good game with a lot of depth. A game that we play over and over and over and over again and just do not get tired of.
Yeah.
And that's not including any of the little modular expansions. Just
yeah.
the base game. I'll play over and over and over and over again. It just
There's so much replayability built in. We've talked a lot about Teotihuacan.
Exactly. We talked about it a lot. As you
I did a video comparing it to Takano. You can check it out right there.
Oh, that's right. That's a really good video, actually.
I love Teotihuacan.
Yeah, it's great. But again, it's like you're talking about that game with that depth and that much variety in terms of even just moving around the action spaces changes it so much. And again, it's like 35, 40, 30 bucks places. I mean, it is
you can catch on sale a lot.
insanely cheap. And again, we talked to Rainer Morton Dice, and he's like, no, we just are selling it for that price point because we can. And it's just like, yo, it's not that it's like, because one thing is like, any of these games, like you find it on clearance somewhere, it's like, but you might be able to find this big old game for 20 bucks. Like,
sure, it
that
happens.
we're trying to more go off of what it generally sells for, not like it's some big blowout sale kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like this one generally sells for like 35, 40 bucks.
Yeah.
And it's crazy cheap. Like,
It's just, it's a
Like
great
card
big
games sell for
game,
more than
very
that.
highly rated game.
Yeah.
And like, just the fact that it's like a sub $50 game is pretty crazy. So, keep an eye out if you've been interested in that one, because I'll bet you can find it on sale some places. Obviously, prices vary wherever you are and stuff like that. But like, I've never seen that game, I don't think even for $50.
no, never.
And I'm like, I'd pay $50 for that, no problem.
And think in your
it's
head,
beneath
what
that.
games sell for $50?
There's a lot.
And know that Teotihuacan...
You know what's one? Histrio. So
Yeah,
like
Histrio.
$50. Again, Histrio and Teotihuacan are not the same
If you
game.
want Histrio, you could usually find it on clearance.
Yeah. It's a great game. You should get it. But not for $50.
But nonetheless, so it's one of those things. It's like, it's Teotihuacan, whether you love it or hate it, is, for what you're getting in the box, just components-wise, is nuts.
Hard to beat.
And we talk about it a lot. We love the game Teotihuacan, number 2.
Boom, check it out. So number 2, but we do have one game. Oh man, that's
wonder if
just
anyone's
a greater
guessed.
value than that. And it's
Number
coming
one
up.
is, yeah.
It's coming up right now. I'm not going to make you wait any longer than that.
No longer.
The time is over of
coming
waiting.
right now.
Now you're finally
Man,
to what
it's
you've been
great.
asking for.
God, I'm so excited for this
Number
part.
1
Oof.
will be here after like a 5-second little musical interlude.
Maybe,
That says number 1 from the Brothers Murph.
Exactly.
And then it's going to be here.
Then after that, we'll start talking. You'll see us again. We'll start talking.
But we'll get right to it. We're not going to waste your time.
Let's just go.
Number 1 in a second.
I forgot what's number 1? The Crew.
Oh, yeah, it's The Crew. Yes. The Quest for Planet 9.
Sure.
Or outer
Theme.
space or theme.
It's The Crew.
It's the bomb trick-taking game. It's the best trick-taking game. It's a cooperative trick-taking game. It's a trick-taking game for trick-taking lovers who want to up their trick-taking game.
Indeed.
It's so good.
Again, kind of like legacy games. Really,
Freaking nuts.
most trick-taking games you could throw in here.
A lot of them, yes.
Like, because here's the thing. Look at hearts or spades.
Go back to our deck of cards argument.
Yeah.
A lot of them
People play
great trick-taking games.
Their entire life they'll play
Yeah.
spades. And it's because trick-taking is more about the people.
I think so.
And playing the people. So
Yeah.
most trick-taking
Mind
games have a ton of depth. But then you take the depth of just trick-taking games in general, and then you throw in the crew.
Yeah.
Which is scenario-based. It's like a campaign game.
Yeah.
It's a co-op game where it's like, if the crew was just a co-op trick-taking game, and it only had one of those scenarios, it only had one of them, it still would be an incredibly good value.
It'd be a challenge every time, what cards come out,
like
the crew that you're with.
But there's 50 scenarios.
Yeah. All the way from like very straightforward to very impossible. And so you can continue to get better, but the cool thing is, like, yeah, you can take the same group of people and really learn how each other works and start with mission 1. And then as the challenges increase, you probably have gotten better at communicating through these cards as a crew. And then the cool thing is like every round is, I don't know, 5 minutes
10
max.
tops? Yeah.
At the max if you're going real slow, so you can play again and again. Or if someone new comes in, you can be like, okay, we'll play like mission 3.
Yeah.
That's a nice easy one.
Start
We can
off
show
easy.
you how to go. If you don't know how to play trick-taking games, we'll start at number 1 and we can sort of teach how trick-taking works because it's a cooperative game, so we're not so worried about that. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the crew, a lot to explore.
And then by the end of it, you just pick whatever scenario you want and play that one for the end till the end of turn.
If you never cared to get through all 50 things, you could be like, these 4 are super fun and just do those 4 till the end of time.
Yep, and you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Again, like, trick-taking in general is just great. And on top of that, the crew is very cheap because it's just a deck of cards.
It's like $20.
It's like $20. It's great. But on top of that, you add in the fact that it's different because it's co-op, and then there's so many different ways to play. And now there's like even 15 more scenarios, I think, on the website of Cosmos. And it's like, it's just nuts, the sheer amount of content that you can get out of that little game.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. The crew, I mean, it's hard to, I mean, how much have we played the crew? Just this year? It's been like over 50 or 60 times. And again, the games are very short, but it's just like,
It's closer to 100 for sure.
it's wild. The crew is such a good value. It's insane, the value of the crew.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's why it's our number 1. It's, again, kind of hard to argue for much different stuff based off of our personal tastes.
Yes.
We like trick-taking, we like co-op, we like campaign, we like increasing challenges, we like portability. I mean,
like
the crews.
cheap stuff. Yeah. And portability. Yeah, you can bring whatever you want. It's great.
It's great. So that is our top 10. We want to know what you think of, like, what to you means like a bang for your buck game. What to you is a game that has really good value.
Yeah.
Where you just like, man, I only paid this much for it and I'm getting all this out of it. We want to know because, again, even more than a normal top 10, this whole issue is incredibly subjective.
Yes.
Again, what $1 means to you is going to be different to someone else. And then how you want to spend that money and on what will vary greatly. So let us know your best bang for the buck games in the comments below. And let us know what you got, how cheap it was, and how great it is.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I want to see those down in the comments. I think it's super, super cool.
Yeah.
It's my favorite
What
part of the
deals
top
people
10s is
have found.
our community tends to really get into like, this is my top 10, so please put your top 10s down there.
Absolutely.
Or just the game you think is the most worth it in terms of money.
Absolutely.
I want to say a big, big thank you as we end out here to our patrons. We always scroll by our patrons
Shouts out
here.
patrons.
Shouts out to the patrons. Patrons rule. Thank you so much for believing in us and supporting us.
We really appreciate it.
We just hit our latest goal on Patreon was to get a bus stop ad. So now we have to figure out how to do that.
Yes.
But we have to get a bus stop ad now. And so somewhere in LA there's going to be a bus bench or something like that. That's
these
got our
dudes
dumb
on it.
faces on it. So there's that. Check out the Patreon. There's a lot of weird stuff.
Come check it out. We're going to be trying to reach a goal by the end of the year as well to do like a Bing Bong Con online New Year's Eve ring in the bro year bash.
Oh, I want to say like you're ringing in the New Year's, but ring and Bing Bong. There's something there.
Okay, ring in the Bing Bong, ring
bash.
bong. We'll find that out. But the point is we're trying to increase our Patreon
Ring
as a
in the
group
Bing Bong.
and then do a big old kind of Bing Bong Con online New Year's celebration where we play games with y'all and do a big live stream and stuff. So check out our Patreon for more info.
And thank you again, patrons. Y'all, you mean the world to us.
We
Thank
appreciate
so
you.
much. And that's going to be it for our list. Again, put the ones down in the comments below. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching that video.
Bang for your buck.
Bang for your buck.
What a good value. Almost as good a value as watching this end bumper and subscribing to the Brothers Murph because it is free and fun for everyone.
Indeed, and check out our last top 10 and check out that video of Teotihuacan versus Tekenu that Mike did. It's really, really well done. And talk about the two games. And although everyone's now like, you got to add Zolkin. So now you got to do a trio.
I know.
And then you got to do top of it. It's going to get confusing.
It's going to get on
Nonetheless,
and on.
thanks for being here.
We love you.